Today's tough question. It is on YouTube. You can vote right there. Brought to you by Andy Mason, AndyMasonRealEstate.com. And it is this. Is the Josh Heupel honeymoon over? How do we define honeymoon? I would say that your significant other can do no wrong. And at this point, I sense that a lot of people are starting to scratch their heads and bringing up some real concerns about Josh Heupel. Let's bring John Adams in of the Knoxville News Sentinel, who, as always, is looking fantastic. John, how are you, sir?
I'm having horrible allergies, so if all of a sudden I disappear, it's because I can't stop sneezing, and that's not really good show performance. So
that's all right. That's all right.
We'll work through it. With that shirt, did you make sure you rounded up all the cattle before you got inside?
Ouch.
No, I was lassoing cacti out in the Arizona desert. I got this shirt in Sedona, Arizona a long time ago, and I've actually had money offered to me for it.
Well, I knew there was no doubt that you got that in Sedona. I was actually going to guess that. I hate that you stole that from me. I think the shirt looks fantastic. John, let me ask you, is the honeymoon over for Josh Heupel?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, no coach stays in honeymoon mode for his career. It's going to happen to all of them at some point. Everything really has gone so well for Josh Heupel coming into this season. Winning 7 games in the first year with the mess Jeremy Pruitt left behind, and then a historic 11-2 season, historic compared to what was going on in the recent past, finishing in the top 10, beating Clemson in the Orange Bowl. All of that, I mean, it was just one big love fest, but not anymore. Not when you lose 36-7 to Missouri. Not when you don't have any really signature win. I mean, think about it. If a Tennessee football team points to a 3-point win in Lexington and Kentucky and says, "That was it, man. That was our game. We put it all together that night." That's not what Tennessee fans expect. It was, but I think the Missouri game wasn't that Tennessee lost. I mean, the game was pretty much a pick 'em. Missouri dominated every phase of the game, so much so that Tennessee fans couldn't even complain about the officiating or things of that nature.
Now, fair point. So if we've got Cowboy John with us, then we have Beatnik It Caleb, who's rocking is that a mock turtleneck or a real turtleneck for the record?
It's a real turtleneck. Don't be hating on my turtlenecks.
I'm not hating. I'm just saying you look like John Malkovich.
Ooh. Not a bad call, Dave.
Caleb is the honeymoon. I think you look fantastic. I'm
just trying to sell you guys a car.
No, you look quite trendy. Hit the like and subscribe button. Vote on our poll right now. I ask you, Caleb, is the honeymoon over?
For me, the honeymoon was over before his first game was ever coached. And I'm going to tell you guys why. Actually, Josh Heupel won me back over. But for me, Josh Heupel is like a relationship. Y'all ever been in a relationship that starts out really toxic, but then kind of starts to work out in the end, and you were shocked because it had such a rough start? You ever had one of those?
No, I stay away from toxic relationships. I mean, the first sign of toxicity, I'm out the door.
Yeah, I'm out the door. I'm out the door in the car and down the driveway.
Okay, I know some marriages that have worked out where the couple started, they were toxic, and it's like, how are they together? But somehow they managed to find a connection, and they actually work out really well now. So
I think they'll end up losing that in the end. But go ahead.
Okay, well, because remember, the Josh Heupel hire was universally hated by Tennessee fans when it happened. Everybody wanted Hugh Freeze because when you fire a coach for cheating, the first guy you want to call is Hugh Freeze. But everybody at Knoxville wanted Hugh Freeze. And I think on top of that, Josh Heupel lost me when he very clearly tried to clear the field for Joe Milton to be the starter at the beginning of the 2021 season without giving anybody else a fair shot. It reminded me of Ed Orgeron naming Brent Schaefer the starter at Ole Miss before Schaefer ever set foot on campus at Ole Miss in 2006. And Heupel it was very clear Heupel was going to make Joe Milton the starter, regardless of any merit whatsoever. And it reminds me of you guys know those NFL GMs that they want to put their stamp on the franchise, even if when they take over, even if they have good pieces, they just ship them all away so they can get their guys. Cough, cough, Reggie McKenzie with the Raiders. That's what I feel like Josh Heupel was doing at Tennessee. Joe Milton was his guy. It didn't matter that Hendon Hooker was significantly better. He started Milton. Now, to his credit, he switched to Hooker midway through the year, early in the year. But to me, that already told me something about him that I just didn't like, honestly.
Well, I think this, guys. I think the honeymoon is still ongoing. Hit that like and subscribe button. I want your thoughts on that because I still hear from Tennessee fans that want to place the blame on this season on Joe Milton. I think that's the easy way out. Now, who picked Joe Milton is the question, but I still think people want to believe in Josh Heupel. So I don't think the honeymoon is actually over. I don't think it will be over unless Nico struggles next season. I think that would be where you would be like, oh man, this isn't working out, John.
No, I mean, to say the honeymoon is over, I think the honeymoon is definitely over because Josh Heupel was almost above criticism, and things worked out when he made a bad decision in starting Joe Milton in 2022, but it worked out, as Caleb pointed out, because he only started 2 games and he was hurt. I don't know how much the injury was a factor. I think they would have made the move no matter what. It was pretty obvious at that point after the Pittsburgh game. But I just think when these honeymoon periods, when a honeymoon period, I see that as a coach can do no wrong. That's how I look at that. It's almost it's an unrealistic. You can't sustain that. And what's happened this year, though, Tennessee fans want to believe in Josh Heupel. They almost have to believe in Josh Heupel because I think he's a very good offensive coach. He has the wrong quarterback for his system, and I don't understand why he didn't see that when he saw Joe Milton at Michigan, but he didn't for whatever reason. So to me, I still think of him as a really good offensive coach, one of the best in the business. But like any coach, he's got to have the right guy for his system. So I think fans want to believe in that. They also have to remember their recent past. I mean,
True.
It's been a wasteland pretty much.
Hit that like and subscribe button. Travis says, are you suggesting we have a baby to make the relationship better? I don't know what that baby would be. Another contract extension, maybe?
No, I'm not suggesting a baby, but I am saying that you're at the situation now where it was toxic from the start. But I guess what John is saying is, your honeymoon trip is like, you don't really have to do any touristy stuff because you just want to spend time with your newlywed because you really don't even want to get out of bed half the time when you're on your honeymoon. But
yes.
When
get too graphic here.
Yeah, that's pretty graphic.
Okay. But like now you're at a point where
the scene from European Vacation that they don't, they see the couple, they don't go see everything. I think he's gonna, our dad, if you remember that.
But Dave, now how many vacation movies did you watch?
I've seen all of them. Haven't you?
No.
But now you're at the point where you kind of have to you got to do some touristy stuff. You got to enjoy the sights of whatever place you're going to get out of the monotony a little bit.
Yes. That's the monotony of being in bed. Okay.
Look at the architecture across the street. Love that. Okay. Sorry, Dave.
No, that's fine. Andy Mason.
Like in Vacation when they go to the Grand Canyon, like, oh, all right, we're here, Grand Canyon.
Look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament. All right. So I want to remind you, AndyMasonRealEstate.com, over 40 years of experience in the biz. AndyMasonRealEstate.com, best service, best price. It's that simple. And Andy Mason will provide you a place to put your bed for that honeymoon, if that is the case. So there you hit that like and subscribe button. We greatly appreciate that. Well, let's look at the message board and get some feedback. Now, would we have gotten this? Obviously, the South Carolina game was a complete and utter disaster last year. Okay. But I'm trying to remember if the feedback, and John, you could help me with this, was more about, oh, this team didn't play well. It was this guy named Banks's problem as a linebacker, or was it more questioning Heupel? Because I can go down the list, and right now John's right and I'm wrong. Travis says, "My God, our play calling has been so bad at times. I'm pretty sure they only practice screens." And Rocky Top Tom says, "And I'm the play caller for our offense on the team I coach. I know play calling. I made terrible decisions on a series of play calls, but never an entire season of it." So sounds like, John, you're right. The honeymoon is over, because at least on our message board, which is probably leans towards optimism, we've got really a lot of people questioning Josh Heupel. And I don't think that happened last year after the South Carolina loss.
No, even though the South Carolina loss was much more damaging. I mean, Tennessee's in the running for the college football playoff. When that happened, the thing about last season, when things didn't go as planned, when things didn't go well, you could always point to the defense. Well, we don't have enough players on defense. But see, Josh Heupel, that didn't really stick to Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel's an offensive guy, and pretty much his deal, well, we'll outscore everybody. And it couldn't outscore South Carolina because the defense was just so inept. And then there was the off the field stuff in the middle of the week with Jeremy Banks, and he was unhappy, and I don't remember all the details of that. But so there were things you can point to, but you couldn't point to the offense. The offense still scored 38 points. You don't expect your offense to score 64. And I think people also looked at South Carolina hadn't played this way all year, really. And Spencer Rattler has a lot of talent, but he hadn't put it together. And this was kind of an aberration. But I think the main thing was you could point to the defense, because other quarterbacks had lit up Tennessee's defense. You could point to the defense and say, well, we just don't have enough defensive players. We get enough defensive players with Josh Heupel's offense, we'll be fine. But you can't say that this year.